Welcome, everybody, to the American Space Museum. I'm Marquette, and we're so glad you're with us to Stay Curious. We appreciate you all being out there and following Stay Curious, now over 685 episodes, and my partner, Marty Winkle. Hello, Marty, co-producer of our program here. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good, Mark. How about you?
Well, good. We got a beautiful artwork here of the Kennedy Visitors Space Center complex on Merritt Island, and we are proud that Delaware North is sponsoring our memorabilia show that we're having this weekend, and we're broadcasting to you today, this Friday, November 4th, from our we're at the Holiday Inn Studios here at the American Space Museum in downtown Titusville. And this Holiday Inn is sponsoring our memorabilia show we're having Saturday. If you're in the area, please come by, say hi to our gang from the Space Museum. All hands on deck at these events here. Our small but very passionate staff here at the American Space Museum. Many of you have met Anita Truex, our office manager, and Angie Roberts is the assistant to our executive director, Karan Conklin, and Angie also handles our finances. And Darren Roberts is our education leader here, doing a lot of great things with kids in a STEAM program that we have. And then we've got a handful of great volunteers like Marty Winkle, and today we have Connie McDaniels with us learning our Streamlabs program. But we're going to have a big time this weekend. If you're in the area, stop by. We've got to have vendors selling some wonderful memorabilia. We can still squeeze another vendor or two in there if you contact me. Free appraisals. So if you've got something that you wondered how much it's worth, and you're here in the local area, please bring it by. And Ken Havicott, one of our sponsors, and Chuck Jeffrey of Bid Again Auctions will be happy to assess that. We're trying to raise $5,000 for our gallery improvements for our volunteer gallery manager, Nick Enix, and Karen Conklin, our executive director. So they've got a budget for the first time ever to buy some things to spruce up our wonderful galleries here. One thing unique, and we appreciate Delaware North, they are the manager of the Kennedy Space Center.
Visitor Center.
Kennedy Space Center Visitors Complex. And the threw me off there, Marty, trying to correct me on something that fine, that's fine. The Delaware North Company is a huge international conglomerate, and they do vending at many of your local ballparks in the major leagues, whether it be football, baseball, hockey, or basketball. And they do a good job of keeping the visitors complex center there spruced up and always doing something new to paint, steam wash, and of course the great new exhibits like Gateway out there. So we'll be talking more about Delaware North and on future Stay Curious programs as we appreciate their financial support of our memorabilia auction in the American Space Museum. A couple guys here that we've talked about, you don't know the faces of too much. Ken Havicott is on the right. Chuck Jeffrey is on the left. Ken Havicott has mentored Chuck over the last 30 years. Ken, actually out of high school, started collecting memorabilia, and he started a Space Coast stamp service where they were big deal 50 years ago, even 40 years ago, was first day covers, getting a launch like John Glenn's February 20th, 1962 launch. You have a cover with a stamp on that and the Mercury capsule stamp and John Glenn's autograph on there. It's worth a lot more money. And that's what Ken's done. He's an expert. So much so that Ken on the right there, he has astronauts come to him to buy some space memorabilia or sell them their space memorabilia. And Chuck Jeffries learned all about this. He got enamored with our museum a little under 10 years ago and started a big collection. He's one of the, again, premier authenticators of real space memorabilia and autographs. Most of these guys, you can confidently ask them to look at an autograph and know that it's true or not there. So both are sponsoring our memorabilia show, and both will be there on site to appraise your space memorabilia this weekend. Well, what's happening this weekend, Marty, is we will be completely wore out Sunday with our event, and Sunday morning, guess what? We get a 25-hour Sunday as, yep, it's daylight savings. We fall backwards, and you're going to see memes all over the place, you social media people out there. So why not throw a few out there? This one says, and so daylight savings time has ended, darkness has fallen across the land. And that is, what's that from, Marty? That I want to say that's from the trilogy of the
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings. Yeah. Thank you for all helping me out there with my lack of popular culture movies out there. But one thing's for sure. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Soon you'll start when? Boy, some of you as early as 5 o'clock in there. The good news is a 25-hour day Sunday, but the bad news is sunset is going to be at 5:34 p.m. on this Sunday. Monday, you're going to wake up to the sunrise at 6:37 a.m. and sunset at 5:33. Now get this, Christmas Eve, right around the winter solstice, which is December 22nd, so Christmas Eve, December 24th. Sunset here in Florida, Marty, is going to be 7:13 a.m. Sunrise, 7:13 a.m. and sunset at 5:33. But our good friends Tom and Mark Usiak there in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, on Christmas Eve, when they get up to open their presents, sunrise is going to be at 7:25 a.m. But sunset is 4:45 in Pennsylvania and much of the Midwest. Sun setting way before 5 o'clock, and darkness setting in by 5:30 and certainly by 6 o'clock. Well, the only people that really like that are amateur astronomers, because we have more darkness. And believe you me, it's a lot fun to throw your telescope out at 7 o'clock at night and look around for a couple hours than waiting for it to get dark at 10 o'clock at night in June, and then being so tired that stargazing isn't much fun. So, Marty, I posed the question, with all this daylight savings back and forth and back and forth, is daylight savings a form of time travel? Don't know, but that's one of our favorite time traveling movies I do know about, Back to the Future. So, well, we thought it would be fun and educational and also benefit our museum to share a Stay Curious program with the 12 items that we're going to have at a special 4 o'clock auction conducted by Chuck Jeffrey and his Bid Again auctions. It will be online. You can go to my links on Facebook or go to our website, American Space Museum, go to the auctions or the event page, and you will find the links to set you up to be ready with your smartphone when the auction activates at 4 o'clock. We'll be at the Holiday Inn at exit 95 when that happens. And Chuck will go through, and hopefully he'll have an animated time like you see the auctions on TV, bidding off these 12 item auctions. And they're just not neat items, but they're part of space history that educates us a little bit about space history. And Marty, I know you have attended these auctions. You bought a lot of memorabilia, so please chime in with any of these items with what you can add to it. But the first lot we're going to auction off Saturday is an orbital test flight parachute from the Mercury, I think it was Mercury Atlas V, that Enos the chimpanzee, did 2 orbits around the Earth before MA6, John Glenn's historic flight. What you will bid on here that's estimated to be worth $200 to $400 is a parachute section that's not glued to the COA, Certificate of Authenticity, but it is held in place by a NASA meatball decal. And this is, again, Ken Havicott donated this to us for our auction. Thank you, Ken. And he always has these well displayed histories of the object there. So you not only get the real object of a parachute and a photograph taken in orbit, all right, from the spacecraft of a cloud shrouded Earth, it looks like there, but it's all authenticated and probably has the blue stamp on the back of the given when these were given out at the time. So Lot 1, a Mercury program orbital flight of the Enos, the chimpanzee, did 2 orbits before John Glenn did. Enos orbited the Earth in November 29th, 1961, and then John Glenn's flight was supposed to happen in December, but it did not until February, I want to say 20th. Yeah, February 20th, 1962. The second item up for auction, and this is really cool and hard to find, is a Gemini Titan V re-entry flight checkbook list. This is actually held in Pete Conrad's hands during the checklist portion of the flight with Gordon Cooper when they spent 8 days orbiting the Earth. All right. The purpose of this mission was to prove that a human being could exist at least 7 days in space. 3 days to the moon, 3 days back, 1 day orbiting the moon. So this was one of the big tests of the Apollo going to the moon program. And this is accompanied by a vintage Gemini mission tracking chart. Vintage means it's from 1965 or 64. The certificate of authenticity is accompanied with it. Very good condition. This checklist things like this don't come up much at auctions, do they, Marty? A real thing that was in a spacecraft.
Yeah, it doesn't. I've never seen that before myself.
And well, you can bid on it. We're hoping it goes between $300 to $500. But Chuck starts all these bids out at $20. You can bid right now by going to the auction website, which I said Facebook, and our American Space Museum has the link to it. Sorry I didn't put up the QR code for this today, but you can start bidding on that now. The third item we've got for here is a very ready to put on your wall. This is a Apollo coin, which I carry one of these coins around with me all the time. Marty, reach around there and toss me my wallet. I'll show them what that coin. It's right over there on my desk over there, please. But we've got a real Manned Spacecraft Center. Thank you, sir. Manned Spacecraft Center lithograph, which means a lot than just a lithograph printed by a local printer. This is the real deal that's come out of the official offices of NASA. And what I want to show here is this coin in my hands. I hold in my hand something that was on the surface of the moon. There's metal in this coin. That's okay. You don't need to. But it's a cool coin. It's written on the back, and that is the COA that Boeing gave out to their employees, that it contains a piece of a screw that was on the heat shield of Columbia, the command module, and it has a piece of one of the support brackets, I think, inside the lunar module. Whatever, there's a real piece of metal from both Eagle and Columbia that they basically throw in a vat of other material. There has to be so many grains, they call it, of material in there to say that it was on the surface of the moon. So you can own this, $300 to $500, we hope, and frame it. It's ready to put up on your wall and brag about your friends that you have something on the surface of the moon. This is another rare item, Apollo 11 Kapton foil display, beautifully matted and framed with a Buzz Aldrin hand-signed Apollo 11 postcard, an authentic Apollo 11 beta cloth, mission patch emblem. Marty, would you share with us what beta cloth is all about?
It's a non-flammable material that they would print the patch on. And you can print other things on it also, but mainly it's non-flammable, which
Thank
was a
you.
spin-off from Apollo 1.
And you've got a vintage mission Apollo 11 mission patch, which means it's 52 years old and doesn't have plastic on the back. If you've got patches of the Apollo program that don't have any plastic on the back, chances are that is from the era of the flight 69, 70, or 71. And there's a photograph of Buzz descending the ladder. All right, all these wonderful items are presented, flown to the moon on this Kapton foil with a COA on it. And the whole thing measures about 3 feet by 2 feet. And this is worth over $1,000, folks, because you got the second man on the moon, Buzz Aldrin's autograph on that, the Kapton foil, and the beta cloth on there. So $1,000 to $1,500 item there. Now, those of you on the Space Coast, or for some of you in the St. Louis area where the McDonald Company built the Mercury and Gemini mission, and those of you in Bethpage, Long Island area could see space memorabilia. In Bethpage, they built the lunar module there. All right, out in Los Angeles is where Rockwell was for North American to build the command module, and of course the shuttle was built there in Los Angeles at Rockwell. So these are hot spots where you could find memorabilia at flea markets or yard sales, all right? This is a really good thing to have. 2 Apollo 13 astronauts, Commander James Lovell and Fred Hayes. Both are very much alive. Of course, we lost Jack Schweikert that was on this mission. So his signature is super hard to find on any Apollo 13 stuff. But you got those 2 signatures accompanied by a vintage Apollo 13 emblem patch and a meatball logo, nicely framed with the crew lithograph there. That's worth $500 all day long with those 2 astronaut signatures on there. So we hope to get a little more out of that. Item 6 is again Fredo and Jim Lovell autographing lithographs of their mission with the astronaut group photo there, which was taken, by the way, after they came back from Earth. And why was that, Marty? Because the original command module pilot was Ken Mattingly, who got exposed supposedly to the measles by Charlie Duke. Right? That's the story, right, Marty?
It may be Charlie Duke, but I think it was actually Deke Slayton, and I may be wrong.
No, I'm pretty sure Charlie Duke thought he was exposed to the measles by a friend's kid, or by his friend's kids. But that's part of the story why we had the swap of the crews. But guess what? Ken Mattingly got to go to the moon on Apollo 16, a great mission with Charlie Duke, and of course the late great commander astronaut John Young. So you got a vintage emblem patch, a crew lithographs here that were issued by NASA, all matted in a gorgeously framed piece there. $800 all day long. The individual autographs of the astronauts alone are worth $400 to $500. Jim Lovell, by the way, at age 93. Fredo's about 88, I think, on there. And there is Charlie Duke, who we love to talk about. Marty, you've met Mr. Duke many times. What kind of person is he when you met him in person?
He's just a real nice guy, very easy to talk to, very down to earth, very spiritual, really, really great guy.
And you have to mention his wife Dottie with him usually because they're pretty inseparable, aren't they, Marty, at this stage in life? Yep. Marty's nodding, yep, they are. So there's a Charlie Duke autograph on a beautiful photograph. It's actually, I think, on a hand-signed photograph, not a lithograph. That's a big difference. Nice, crisp signature in blue Sharpie. You got a mahogany and black frame there ready to put on your wall. Man, they're estimating $200 to $400. That would be a bargain at $400. This gentleman's autograph should go for $500 all day long. He walked on the moon, folks. There's only 4 moonwalkers alive that you could even get an active thing signed from in person, and 12 in total. So own that, bid on that. You can bid on that now. Now, this is an interesting lot. You can have a Phillips Parkway sign. This is an authentic Space Command street sign that was named after Air Force General Samuel C. Phillips, who was the director of the Apollo space program for 5 years, 1964 to 69. You have a black and white photograph of the general, an Apollo launch cover, hand signed by General Phillips. That's pretty cool. A map of the Cape showing the street from where this sign came from. All right. And though it's been exposed to the elements, Florida weather for many years, it's still in great shape, but that's part of the patina, right? The provenance of it is it was actually out there at Cape Canaveral. This sign measures 30 inches by 9 inches and is a double-sided street sign, okay? Info bio sheets on General Sam Phillips are included there. So this is a one-of-a-kind rare item, folks. Many of the items that Chuck Jeffrey puts in our collections of auctions are one-of-a-kind items, and this is bragging rights to somebody that they own it. A picture of the general himself there, quite a historical figure of the Apollo moon race. Sam Phillips there. $300 to $500, Marty. Is that something you'd like to own?
No.
No. Well, you've downsized. You don't have you've got so many nice things already in storage, but it would make a great thing in any space cave out there, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but me personally, I'm more into Apollo and space shuttle items. I have a few Mercury and Gemini, but it's still a great item.
Right. Well, how about this then? How about owning a piece of the Space Transportation System's first launch in 1981, of course, Columbia STS-1. This is a space-flown section of the thermal protection tile aboard America's first reusable spaceship, Columbia. And of course, we lost Columbia, so it even has more value. This has been hand-signed by pilot Bob Crippen and Chase 1 pilot, the Chase plane on their landing, astronaut John McBride. Both of these gentlemen have been great supporters of the American Space Museum. Can't name all the things that Bob Crippen and John McBride have done to promote our American Space Museum, to just show up at the dedication ceremonies for the shuttle and Apollo monuments at Spaceview Park. We've got Bob Crippen's handprints in bronze here next to his Smeat outfit that he gave us. That was the 30-day test in an atmospheric chamber of the Skylab space station. John McBride, God bless you for all that you've done for our American Space Museum. This is in a nice shadow box display, and there's 2 viewing passes of this launch given to someone that viewed the launch, and Chuck Jeffrey threw in 2 of them so you could see the back of one and the front of the other. This is really a beautiful, beautiful display there. Everything's explained there in the cut line, so to speak. And you've got a mission patch from 1981 there, not space flown, but still the tile is there. $400 to $700, Marty. What do you think about that?
Great, but ask me if that's something I would like.
Good. Yeah.
You didn't ask me.
Oh, is that something you'd like? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Let's take a collection up.
Let's take a collection up for Marty. That'd be a great Christmas present, huh? Okay. We'll see what it goes for there, and if I can afford it for you, Marty. You certainly deserve it for all that you've done for our museum and our Stay Curious program here. 2 more items, folks. Again, this is space history that you can own and talk about. And everybody, whether they're a space geek or not, will understand what your passion for it. Now, this is, see in the background there, all of that silver back there. This is a space-flown space shuttle Columbia insulator panel. Get ready. Don't get shocked on the projected price of this, all right? I'm not going to tell you yet. But I'm going to tell you that astronaut Don Thomas's signature on there. He has signed this. It's an overall massive, it's 22 by 25 and a quarter-inch thick. Makes for an amazing addition to anyone's collection, a conversation piece, and a rare find of a complete full panel. Now, this panel artifact was installed in the wing during the construction of the orbiter and flew in space on the maiden voyage of Columbia STS-1. It flew on 28 space shuttle missions before being removed after the STS-94 mission. That's why Don Thomas has signed it, an astronaut on STS-94. There on the left is the blue circle logo there. 94 was flown twice, actually. It was STS, 83, I think. It went up for 4 days, and they had a CPU problem, so they brought him down because it was a mission designed up there for 12 days. So the only reflown mission, and Don Thomas was on both of those. A great astronaut. We appreciate him making this part of our journey. He says on there, he has written, an important part of a great spaceship that made my journeys as a space shuttle Columbia astronaut possible in 1994 and 1997. So this piece of artifact has flown over 13.8 million miles, 34 plus days in space, 550 orbits. You can own it where Chuck says that this should go for at least $2,500 and possibly a lot more. And you can see why. What a bragging item to have something from Columbia that has flown over 13 million miles. And our 11th item we have up is on a sheet like this. A very interesting item that Mr. Havocott puts together. We have on here, it contains flown fragments from every space shuttle orbiter to fly. That's right. You can have something from all 5 orbiters, all right? And what we have from left to right is a piece of a Columbia solar blanket fragment flown on STS-93. You have a Space Shuttle Challenger blanket piece flown on 41G. Next, you've got a Discovery Orbital Vehicle 103 was its tail number, a payload bayliner, okay, on there from Discovery on STS-82. Then you've got an Atlantis fibrous blanket piece on STS-86. And finally, from the final orbiter that replaced Challenger, OV-105, you've got a piece of beta blanket flown on STS-77. All these fragments are mounted on a decorative and an informative double-sided display that has been laminated and encased in a floating wall frame that you can view it on both sides. Very cool. The logo's on one side and the other there. Yeah, if I do this, you can probably see it a little bit better there. This is something neat to display. An 11 by 14, $300 to $500. Look, you've got 5 space-flown items there off of each of our orbiters. The only place you can get that is from Mr. Ken Havocott in our American Space Museum auction that we're having on Saturday. In the final item, Marty, how about, would you like to have a beautiful 1/100 scale model of the space shuttle autographed by 14 astronauts?
I guess you'd say, who wouldn't want that?
There you go. That's right. And these 14 astronauts include Anna Lee Fisher, Sandy Magnus, John Harrington, Dave Leesma, Michael Good, Woody Spring, Charlie Walker, Fred Gregory, David Bartow. All right. I know that Joan Higginbotham's on there also because watched her sign it, Marty. And we put a model like this at the astronaut office at the Kennedy Visitors Complex. Thank you, Delaware North, for allowing us to do that. And our favorite astronaut wrangler, Mr. Nick Thomas, he handles this. Also, Mark Smith, thank you. He's one of the other educators that introduces the astronauts out there, and they make sure the astronaut of the day is autographed this for us so we can recycle it back out to you, and you can own this on your own. And you got 14 astronaut autographs on there, shuttle astronaut autographs, okay? Easily worth $500, all right? And the bragging rights to have this in your man cave, your office, your den, maybe on your luxury boat, okay, out there. After all, we've got Connie McDaniel with us here. She's a big boater out there. So, but anyway, thank you for letting us share these 12 items of the American Space Museum's mini auction Saturday, 4 o'clock. Tune in a little before there. They'll go live with these items at 4 o'clock. And we are blessed that we've had some of these items donated to us. Some of it's out of our collection. But it's all about raising money for our collections manager, Nick Enix, who has done a tremendous job with just money out of our general fund that we can afford. And we've decided that we need a vehicle to try to have a budget that Nick can use. Many of you have been in our wonderful museum. We look great. We've got some nice displays here, but these display cases have been refurbished from a jewelry department. And you know, we're proud of them, but there's Nick's got some ideas of some, you know, real museum cases, and we want to put all of our mannequins in cases. So we hope that you can help us any way we can. We know that Tom Usiak's helped us a lot and seen things in our museum progress here. Thank you, Tom. Melissa Pope, thank you, taking your Friday afternoon to watch us there at the Space Coast Office of Tourism. Dave Stange, I saw your box of Christmas decorations. Please, my friend, be careful on that ladder, all right? Doug Forrest is a pencil artist that we love promoting. Hi, Doug. Jennifer West is watching. Hey, Jennifer. Is that Jennifer West or Wessie? Jennifer West, thank you. She is a fabulous art director that we need to promote more on here, and she's done our brochure for our Museums of Brevard. Museums of Brevard, I'm trying to spit out 20 wonderful museums that, like the American Space Museum, celebrate the wonderful heritage of Brevard County. We just simply call them the mob. And we've got, who else? Dr. Isfara Ali, thank you. John Gristle's watching. Jeremy Barden. Those are two unfamiliar names to me. Thank you for finding us on Stay Curious. And Steve Hammer and Ophelia Sauterelle is watching us from France. I'll bet Robert Law is watching us with a Friday evening cocktail in his hand in Dundee, Scotland. Thank you. And thank you, Cliff Watson, my stargazing buddy from Pomona, Australia, and your friend Dave Renicky. They watch Stay Curious and follow us. And thank you, Cliff, for making a nice contribution on my birthday fund yesterday. Yes, it was my birthday. Go back and watch the whole gang. Bring me a delicious German chocolate cake. Boy, that chocolate in there is, whew, got me all buzzed up. That and this rocket fuel in here. But, and who else is watching there? Anything we need to take care of today on Stay Curious before we say goodbye?
No, we're good.
We're good. We just want to remind you, thank you, Holiday Inn at Exit 95, for giving us a good rate on their conference room to have our memorabilia show today, on Saturday. In fact, I'm going to be stargazing at Beachside Hotel, another property that we utilize and brag about on Stay Curious. We're going to be showing their people staying there tonight, Saturn, the moon, Jupiter, all right? And I got the Brevard Astronomical Society, a few members to help me with that. And then we'll be up bright and early and bushy-tailed at our memorabilia show at Exit 95 at Holiday Inn. And thank you again, Delaware North, for helping us sponsor that event. It means a lot to have a biggie like Delaware North contributing financially to the American Space Museum. So, Marty, thank you for a great Streamlabs job all week. We had kind of an error-free show today. Connie McDaniel, thank you for being beside Marty there and learning how to do this. And we'll turn you loose on it one day. Thank you very much. Our museum, two great volunteers there. I can't brag enough about Marty Winkle and Connie McDaniel. Marty's been involved in this museum a long time. Connie, thank you for your 3 years and more of being behind the scenes on so many things here. Connie helps a lot with our gift shop, and Anita Truex, our office manager, who's really got the gift shop looking great. If you're local and need a holiday gift, come on in here and shop our gift shop. All right, we've got things in here that space lover on your list is sure to enjoy. So, well, thank you all. We've had a wonderful week. We're lining up some guests all through next week, and have Hugh Harris in our house, the voice of NASA, next week to talk about the shuttles of November, 16 of them. So, on behalf of our American Space Museum, that we hope is your favorite nonprofit, I'm Mark Marquette saying we can't wait to see you tomorrow. All right, either at the Holiday Inn or bidding on our mini auction. I can't wait to see you again to bridge the space between us.